Imagine this. Tomorrow, the Australian government slams the doors shut. No new migrants, no students, no skilled workers. No one. Sounds simple, right? Stop migration and poof, the housing crisis is solved. Except it's not. Because stopping migration doesn't just turn down the heat on rents, it also turns off the gas to the economy. And there's been a lot of commentary around all of this over recent times, particularly given the rallies on the weekend. And I'm going to play for you a clip from my friend, Peter Credland, who I'm sure you'll all appreciate and understand as being the source of all good news via Sky News. So I'm going to play this clip because in a way Peter sets the agenda as I guess most of us would understand it. And it's important that we hear from her because she's omniscient. She's all-knowing, all-wise, all superior to the rest of us and has the answers for everything. So I'm going to play this clip and then I'm going to come back to talking about actually what it would mean if we chose to have no migration at all. Now, my guess is that people don't talk about whether we should have migration or we don't. But they're basically saying, in my humble view, they're basically saying that we should have zero migration, that if you are, many people, not all, but many people are saying if you have a different colour, if you have a different religious belief, if you are different to whatever they're defining as the Australian culture, whatever that is, because I do not know, I think Australian culture is a multicultural society, that's who we are, but nevertheless, there are people that are trying to define this differently. And I'm interested in knowing what it would look like if we had no migration whatsoever. So I'm going to play this bit for Peter, and I want to just say that when this video goes out and you're watching it at 3 o'clock Australian Central Standard Time, I will be doing a live feed and we'll be discussing a lot of this again, and it'll be your opportunity to come online and have a conversation with me about what your views are in relation to immigration. So I'll be most anxious to hear from you. I do need to say in the meantime, please subscribe to our channel, ring the bell for further notifications, do what you need to do, because it'd be great to hear from you as well. So this is what Peter has to say, and of course she just has the answers for almost, I think, everything.
But first, it takes a lot to get most Australians worked up enough to get out and protest. Normally, we keep to ourselves, don't we, and register our unhappiness at the ballot box every couple of years. The fact that tens of thousands of Australians took to the streets, though, on yesterday...
I don't know whether when there were these, a couple of weeks ago, when there were the Palestinian rallies or the rallies against what's happening in Gaza, whether she would have opened with exactly the same sentiments. I doubt it.
Wanting to reclaim Australia shows that we are not happy. Yesterday's protest...
Yet when 300,000 people or whatever it was turned up on the Sydney Harbour Bridge, I guess those people were pretty unhappy as well, Peter.
And marches have not been called for by anyone in obvious authority. And apart from Pauline Hanson addressing the Canberra rally, they were not supported by anyone especially well known. About the only advanced mainstream media they had was in a discussion last week on Ben Fordham's Sydney radio program. The fact that they happened at all in such substantial numbers says something, given that the Albanese government had already dismissed them in advance as right-wing nutjobs and racists. Now, sure, some of those elements turned up, but it was nowhere near the...
We need to be reminded that I think those elements that turned up were the organisers of the event. What does that tell us? But no recognition of that either from Peter.
Majority.
We're not a racist country, we just want a good calibre of people in here.
If that's not a racist comment, I don't know what is. We just want... So what calibre of people are we talking about? White, Christian, like what is that calibre? I do wonder.
Love migration, okay? I'm from a family of immigrants as well. The point is, how many you bring in the country? Where do you house them?
And what we want to see is a slowdown of the immigration because we're not looking after our own anymore.
A slowdown to what? Because as I'll demonstrate in a little while, is that there is a slowdown. There has been a slowdown. There was an increase after COVID, but there has been a slowdown. What sort of slowdown do you want? What numbers do you have in mind? These characters do not know.
The reason for this march was not about racism, not about pro-white. It was about...
I like the way they have to make it about it's not about racism and it's not about pro-white. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You're just not admitting to it, you know? There's a lot of reflection going on here, a lot of projection going on, I think.
One flag for one nation.
It's not just roads, it's not just the housing, because obviously houses are overinflated. The infrastructure of Australia on all levels is stressed by migration.
What a load of bullshit.
Indeed, as you've just seen there, the vast bulk of the attendees were ordinary, everyday Australians from all walks of life and ethnic backgrounds, as Phil Coorey conceded this afternoon in the online version of the Australian Financial Review. The fact that so many turned out shows that large numbers of Australians are fed up with social developments that they don't like, and they're fed up with governments that don't listen. And there is a lot not to like about the way Australia's changing. Take immigration, which was the main focus of yesterday's events. Now, of course, immigration is out of control. For most of the post-war period...
Could I just say, that is a lie. Immigration is not out of control. I did a post on this yesterday. I suggest you look at it. It will demonstrate quite clearly that the statistics tell us something completely different. It is managed and it is purposeful. It could be too high, I agree. But what is the number? What is the number? What is the balance? That is the question we all need to be asking.
It averaged 90,000 people per year. Then for the decade pre-pandemic, beginning around the Rudd era, it was then upwards of 200,000 a year. And for the past 3 years, immigration's been running at nearly 500,000 per annum. The impact here is obvious in our sky-high house prices and rents, on our clogged roads and packed public transport, and in the low wages for jobs that recent migrants mostly do. The cleaning, the caring, the delivering, washing dishes in restaurants and picking fruit. I
like that. It seems to me that, according to Peter, all immigrants are good for are those menial tasks. Ignoring the fact that many of the immigrants that we have come to Australia are students, are doctors, are professional people, are people that are here to build the houses that we need. These are the people that we're getting. Not these menial tasks, whatever, are often done by British people British students or whatever, coming to Australia on a holiday. But no, she must sell this inappropriate narrative about what the problem is, when in actual fact, that is not the problem at all.
Absolutely necessary jobs, but ones that many Australians shun from a sense of entitlement born of too many people going to university for dead-end degrees, or a something-for-nothing wealth.
Well, I tell you what, as a university student, that's bloody insulting. And as a number of uni students who do go to university to get meaningful degrees, of which they are the most of them, unless you're doing some sort of a liberal degree. But nevertheless, it's insulting. Absolutely. I think what she's saying is so offensive that we need to make a stand against it.
Their mindset. But it's not just the immigration quantity that's a problem, but the quality too. The values quality of those we give the chance of a lifetime, which is, of course, to live in Australia. It's impossible not to notice a heavy presence of migrants, mostly from the Middle East, in the succession of pro-Palestine rallies that are really pro-Hamas rallies, and that are often with a very nasty anti-Israel, even anti-Jewish edge. Plus the numerous hate preachers, many of them recent migrants, attacking the country that's supposed to be their home. Then there's the double standards of officialdom. Same police that stood quietly by while Jew-hating protests have gone on for months and months.
I've had enough of her. I find that sometimes when I listen to Peter and I hear these the tropes that she puts out around Jewish-hating people and Palestinians are terrible, and that we should make sure that we're not importing into Australia people that just do menial tasks, because that's all migrants are good for. That sort of crap is frustrating, to say the least. And there is an article which I'm just going to refer to briefly on on the Guardian, which is anti-immigration protests say Australia's migration is at records high, but the figures tell us a different story. And I've got this terrible woman photographed here. Australia's immigration figures are not at record highs, migration experts say, rejecting claims aired at rallies on Sunday. Experts say confusion about various migrational numbers and a recent case of inaccurate reporting, which spread like wildfire online, have combined to give a false impression of overseas arrivals. So, and I think that's the fact. But, however, this discussion around immigration needs to be considered, and we need to look at it from the perspective of rationality, figures, facts, because it's here that you get those facts. Because stopping migration doesn't just turn down the heat on rents, which is what our friend was talking about. It also turns off the gas to the economy. So here at the Tony Tonkin Show, today we're asking the most important question of all. What would actually happen if Australia ceased all migration? Now, I know there is an issue in relation to what does that mean? Are people saying that they don't want any migration, they want it cut? People aren't talking about what that percentage should be because they don't know. They haven't got the facts, right? So I'm asking, what actually happens if Australia ceased all migration? Now, spoiler alert, rents might ease for a moment, but hospitals, construction sites and universities would be in crisis before the ink dried. Yes, if you cut migration, demand for rentals drop. Fewer people chasing the same number of properties and rents stop climbing as fast. But that doesn't build new homes. And without more construction workers, which we usually import, I hasten to add, you're stuck. There's another word I could use for that as well. Then there's healthcare. Roughly 40% of our nurses and carers were born overseas. Half of new doctors trained elsewhere. Shut off that pipeline and you're lengthening waiting lists overnight. And don't forget education. International students bring in over $50 billion a year. Universities depend on them to survive. Kill migration. And you put entire institutions on life support. Okay? 3 to 10 years down the track, things get worse. People are dying, let's face it. My generation, we're dying. And therefore, it leaves a gap. So the result of that then will be the labour force shrinks. GDP growth slows. Tax revenue falls while aged care and health spending explode. Cities stall. Some regions shrink. And the housing crisis, well, it's still there because the workers who build homes never arrived. And here's the kicker. Australia is already ageing. Fertility has dropped to record lows. Without migration, the ratio of workers to retirees collapses. That means a smaller tax base supporting an older population. A recipe for higher taxes, lower services, and weaker productivity. And is that really what we want? So who wins if we stop migration? Maybe renters get a little breathing space in the short term. Maybe a few first home buyers sneak in. But the losers, patients in hospitals, families needing aged care, students chasing affordable education, builders who can't find tradespeople, and every taxpayer footing a ballooning bill for an ageing population. Now, here's the smarter move. Don't slam the door, dial the program, adjust migration to focus on the workers and students we need most. And I believe that that's what migration is planning to do. That's the purpose of a thought out, considered migration program. Speed up housing supply, incentivise settlements in the regions. That's how we ease pressure without crashing the system. Stopping migration sounds like an easy fix, but easy fixes are usually fairy tales. In reality, stop migration and, as a result, you stop the economy. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching The Tony Tompkins Show. If you value independent analysis without the spin, hit like, share and subscribe. Remember, turning on the tap doesn't build the pipes. That this is an issue that is important for all of us, and we must ensure that we are doing and thinking about it differently than what people like Peter Credlin are attempting to tell us. Let me know what you think in the section below. Subscribe to my channel, ring the bell for further notifications. Take care, everybody.